So what they do is they do a catch-22. Traditional men are punished in this country because what they'll do is they'll say, go protect and provide for your family. So the men go do it. Then they take them to family court and say, gotcha, you didn't spend enough time with your kid. Well, he was doing the right thing. He was working. And if we really wanted to do what was right for the children, they would give the kid to the fathers, because single father homes, by and large, turn out significantly better, almost the same as two-parent homes. Women raise terrible kids as single mothers. There's exceptions. There's awesome single mothers out there. But the exceptions do not make the rule.
There should be...
You ever notice how child support somehow turned into adult support? Yeah, we're talking about those cases where the check isn't just raising the kid, it's funding the mom's entire lifestyle. Before we dive in, drop a comment. Are modern men more delusional? Or is it the ladies? Hit like and subscribe. Let's get to 1 million subscribers this month so you don't miss what we expose next. Let's be honest, there absolutely should be limits on child support. No child on earth needs $5, $10, or $20,000 a month to survive. What happens beyond that number isn't about the kid anymore. It's about control and comfort. Think about it. Diapers, clothes, school, food, medical care, even with inflation. You're not burning through $5,000 a month on one child unless that kid is eating gold-plated cereal. So who's really being supported here? 9 times out of 10, it's the mother's lifestyle. The rent, the car, the nails, the vacations, all neatly labeled under child expenses. And what's worse, that money can quietly end up taking care of other children from other men. So now one guy is basically paying for an entire household that doesn't even belong to him. It's not child support anymore. It's ex-boyfriend alimony. That's why men keep asking for reform. Because it's not about avoiding responsibility, it's about fairness. A system that started to protect kids has turned into a reward program for broken relationships. And until there's a cap or actual proof of where that money goes, this cycle is going to keep repeating, not for the child's benefit, but for the parent who plays the system best.
Difference between how men are treated in a divorce and women are treated in a divorce. There's a bias against men receiving alimony. A lot of times, even if the man is entitled to alimony, he doesn't get alimony. The same applies to child support. I've been a divorce attorney for 20 years, and this shocks me to this day.
An epidemic of elevated entitlement is what we're experiencing currently with modern women. It's the empowerment era, it's the social media era, and a lot of these women are exposed to, on social media, pictures and videos of women living certain lifestyles, eating certain meals, and doing certain activities that they themselves compare their lives to and desire also, and believe that they're deserving of it. It has created the entitled modern woman. With the divorce rate being 50%, with 70% being initiated by women, this is the type of woman that you want to completely avoid as a man. The odds of divorce are highly probable. It is you as the man, as the gatekeeper of the relationship, as the gatekeeper of commitment, who determines if that woman is worth the level of emotional investment and financial risk that you're going to place on her, because you deem her.
You know what's exhausting? Watching the same cycle play out online. Women with multiple kids from multiple men turning the camera on, pointing fingers, and saying men are the problem. Let's call it what it is. If you've chosen the same kind of man over and over, at some point, it's not bad luck, it's bad decisions. Every relationship might not work out, sure, but when it becomes a pattern, that's no longer a coincidence. That's accountability knocking at your door. See? The truth is, you can't keep making the same choices and then play the victim of your own story. You're not unlucky in love, you're undisciplined in judgment. And deep down, a lot of these women know it. But it's easier to post a video, blame every man they've ever dated, and get sympathy likes than to admit, maybe I'm the common denominator. The harsh reality, you can't expect stability from chaos. If you keep chasing excitement instead of character, the outcome will always be the same. That's not oppression. That's math. And until responsibility replaces blame, the cycle won't stop. The kids grow up watching that dysfunction, and one day, they repeat it. Accountability doesn't just heal you, It protects the next generation.
Falsely accuse a man of being your baby's daddy. It's called parentage fraud, and it's no joke.
For those of you who are in Tennessee, guess what? House Bill 2689 is getting ready to pass. That is requiring paternity tests before you sign the birth certificate.
That's good.
Because, you know, when people do paternity tests, 1/3 of the time, they end up not being the father. And if they start testing everybody, that number can only go up, not down. They're actually starting to jail time the ladies for maternity fraud because it is such a rampant crime.
It is a crime.
It's a crime.
Hallelujah. This needs to go nationwide.
I agree.
But at least it's the first step. Progress, not perfection. But in the meantime,
The pictures.
I advise any male that I know to get yourself a DNA kit and swab that child's mouth, because you'd be surprised.
Finally, a bit of justice in a world that desperately needs it. Tennessee just made maternity fraud a crime. And honestly, it's about time. Think about how many men have had their lives turned upside down because of this. Guys paying child support for years only to find out that the child isn't even biologically theirs. That's not a mistake. That's deception with life-altering consequences. For too long, paternity fraud was treated like a social oops, something people just swept under the rug. But when a man spends years emotionally, financially, and mentally investing in a child that isn't his, that's not a misunderstanding. That's identity theft on a human level. So seeing Tennessee take that stand, that's a step toward fairness, toward reality, catching up with accountability. And if we're being real, this shouldn't stop at one state. It needs to go nationwide. Every man deserves the truth before he signs a birth certificate, before a court orders payment, before his reputation gets dragged through the mud, because equality doesn't mean one side gets to manipulate without consequence. It means both sides face the same level of responsibility for their choices. And if the system truly wants to protect families, it has to start by protecting the truth.
For it to be sustainable, reduce, reuse, recycle, per se. I'm thinking that we take all men to Alcatraz Island, and they are not allowed to leave until they take a lesson on how to revert their internalized misogyny. And only until they've passed a test that we women decide, are they allowed to leave Alcatraz Island. Let me know what you think. I think it could be great.
I'm a single mom of 3, okay? And regardless, I have to hold it down for my kids because I don't have a choice. I'm just so angry. Like, I just do everything for my kids on my own all the time. And it makes me so mad that these guys just come out here and have babies and they don't for their kids. And let me tell you who's a real gangster. Because it's not you. It's not you that's been in and out of prison not taking care of your kids. Because I'm sure that a lot of you women can relate. The gangsters are the ones out here raising our kids on our own, trying to figure out, because instead of making excuses, going to prison so we don't have to take responsibility.
4 times divorce, 4 times. Let's see, let's go. You tell me. What do you want to know?
What is the most toxic thing that you've ever done?
Okay, let's do this. All right, take them to court and then get a good divorce lawyer, of course. Take them for half of the retirement. Take them half of their property and then fight them for higher child support, okay? And a couple of years from now, hit you up for more child support every 3 years. Every 3 years, you go up from maybe 200 to 300 to 400 to 500. You bring it up to $2,000 per child. Per child. But I got one child right here. Kaylin right here.
Imagine lying to a man for years, letting him believe a child is his. Watching him pour his time, money, and heart into raising that kid, and then somehow convincing yourself you're the victim when he asks for a DNA test. That's not just dishonesty, that's psychological warfare. Because think about what that means. You've watched him lose sleep, work overtime, build dreams around a child you know isn't his, and still expect sympathy when the truth comes out. That's a level of selfishness that borders on cruelty. And yet, this is how deep modern narcissism runs. Some people have become so addicted to the role of the victim that they can't even recognize when they're the villain. The moment he questions her story, she paints it as mistrust or insecurity. But what's he really asking for? The truth. It's wild. The same culture that tells men to take responsibility never tells women to take accountability for deception. This isn't just a relationship issue. This is life-altering betrayal. Because once a man finds out the truth, he doesn't just lose the child, he loses years of trust, faith in love, and sometimes faith in the entire system. And when you can do that to someone, then turn around and still claim you were wronged. That's not empowerment. That's emotional manipulation at its peak.
Get from making eye contact with a man is like so ridiculous sometimes. Look, at the hives I just got, literally just from making eye contact with a man, I literally feel so disgusted. I feel like, don't look at me!
I'm lost for words. What went wrong with this woman?
The conservatives in America are so weak. I think they're giant personally. No offense, but like Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, all these people, they're full of because they need to lobby to change the divorce laws.
Child support, as it stands today, has turned into a full-blown racket. What was meant to ensure children are taken care of has quietly become a system that cripples a lot of fathers instead of helping families. Think about this. Some men can't even get a driver's license because they fell behind on payments. Not because they don't want to pay, but because the system is built to punish, not to understand. Once that happens, they can't drive to work, can't open a bank account, and end up having to work under the table just to survive. That's not justice. That's a trap. And the irony, these same men are labeled deadbeats when the system itself makes it impossible for them to function. It's like tying someone's hands, throwing them in the water, and then blaming them for drowning. Now let's flip it for a second. If a woman can't take care of her child without that one check coming in, not even consistent support, but one decent payment a year, then maybe she's not the stable parent the court thinks she is. Because child custody should never be about gender, it should be about capability. If the goal is truly the child's best interest, then the system has to stop rewarding dependency and start rewarding stability. No kid benefits from watching one parent struggle because of rules designed to break them. At the end of the day, support should lift families up, not destroy one side just to make the other comfortable. Until that changes, it'll keep being less about the child and more about the check.
Day one in office, and Donald Trump has signed an executive order called the Child Support Reform Act, in which he is making changes at a federal level to the child support system.
Good job, my brother. We rocking with you.
Is this executive order perfect? No. Does it solve everything? No. But it does more to help fathers or child support payers, which are predominantly fathers, than any other federal act has done in years. Part one is income-based adjustment, so that child support is more closely aligned with an individual income. So those individuals that are low-income payers will suffer less of the financial burden. Part two will cap arrears. So those that fall behind on child support, there'll be a cap on the amount of interest that can be applied to keep them from going into insurmountable debt. Part three is compliance incentives. So those individuals that consistently meet their child support demands, they'll be able to apply for tax relief and benefits. The three previous parts of the executive order benefited the child support payers. So in a lot of cases, the fathers. But the fourth and final part benefits the acceptor or the receiver of the child support, and it is streamlined in enforcement so that it'll make it easier for those receiving child support to collect it through an automated system. In addition to this executive order, Trump is now making it so that the individual that is paying the child support is the individual that gets to claim the child on their taxes, meaning that whoever pays gets the child tax credit, which is how it should have always been. If you're paying a lot of money to the other person, why should you not reap the child tax benefits when they don't have to pay taxes on that child support? This is just a start. Because when's the last time you saw conversations happening at a federal level regarding the child support system or the child custody system? I can't remember a time it's ever happened. But this means that now there's a stage. Now there's a place that we can go and get rid of the corruption in the family court, that we can start addressing the problems within the child support system. It starts small for it to get big. And we've got a starting point now.
Ladies, the days of holding your own children hostage are finally coming to an end, and honestly, it's long overdue. For years, too many fathers have been treated like intruders in their own kids' lives. Not because they were bad dads, but because the system was designed to assume they were. Think about how crazy that is. A man brings life into this world, wants to be involved, wants to raise his child, and instead of being supported, he's treated like a threat. Like he has to earn the right to fatherhood while the mother automatically gets the crown. That's not equality. That's injustice disguised as tradition. So yeah, when the tide starts turning and laws begin recognizing that fathers aren't walking wallets but parents with purpose, that's something worth celebrating. Because children need both parents, not one. Parent using the system to control access, weaponize emotions, or manipulate outcomes. And this isn't about men versus women, it's about fairness. The truth is, some women used custody and child support as tools for power, not protection. And the moment accountability enters the chat, they call it oppression. But times are changing. Courts are waking up. Society is starting to see that being a father is not a privilege, it's a right. And when both parents are held to the same standard, maybe then we'll finally see the system serve the child, not the parent who knows how to play it best.